Welcome to the Author Summit Showcase. We are so glad you're here. Whether you're joining us with your morning coffee, on a lunch break, or winding down your day, thank you for being part of this special gathering. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Today, you will meet amazing authors who are excited to share their journeys with you. You'll hear firsthand about their creative processes, the challenges they've overcome, and the heartfelt why behind their work. But first, let's welcome the woman who makes all of this possible, our host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Rebecca is the CEO of RHG Media Productions, the founder of Your Purpose-Driven Practice, and a #1 international best-selling author and publisher who has guided over 1,000 authors to bestseller status. She is the creator of Continue the Momentum and RHG Magazine, a global influencer, sought-after speaker, and host of Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Her work and expertise have been featured on major global platforms, including The Huffington Post, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and Thrive Global. Beyond the titles and the accolades, Rebecca's mission is simple and heartfelt: to help you shine. She is a dedicated empowerment leader here to lead us through a day of inspiration and growth. Rebecca, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. And I am thrilled and excited to be here with all of you. It is definitely my heart and my desire to help each of you shine. We're so thrilled to have you each joining us. And as we come together today, we are looking forward to pouring into you, to pulling back the curtain a bit, sharing authentically from our heart, and really giving you tips and insights and perspectives to help you continue to spring forward in all that you are doing. We have an amazing group of heartfelt leaders, #1 international best-selling authors, and speakers that are saying yes. They're saying yes to pouring into you, to sharing, and to supporting you on your journey. Well, welcome, welcome. I want you to be able to get the most out of our time together today. So I wanted to give you a few tips. One, choose to be present. That means taking a breath, slowing down a little bit, and tuning in. Sometimes we show up to things and we're just kind of there in body, but our mind is elsewhere on the to-do list or distractions. And here's what I'd invite you to do. And I am inviting you to do is all those things that are kind of pulling at you, pinging you. Oh, I need to do that. Or, oh yeah, that needs to be done. Or that's catching my attention. All of those things. Let's just lovingly bring them together, kind of group them together. And let's put them in a heart-shaped box that has a lid. It has little air holes. Nothing's going to suffocate, but we're going to gather all those distractions, all those things, because this is your time. This is an opportunity for you to be poured into, to receive. And I don't want anything distracting you from that. So all those things that are pulling at you right now, let's just lovingly, even that one way over there, gather those, put those in the box. And then let's put the lid on and set the box over to the side. Now you know where everything is. You can open the box after our time together and let out anything you want to let out at that point. But right now, let's just contain those. This isn't their time. This is yours because you're here on purpose. There's a reason you're tuning in. There's a reason you've dialed in. And I want you to receive. And sometimes I find we're really good at giving. I'm really good at providing, really good at helping and going to amazing lengths for others. But we don't always sit and receive. I know for myself, I work on that. I need to be open, to listen, to receive, to take in and let others pour into me. And I'm inviting you to join us today to allow us to pour into you. Any more distractions come up, you know where they can go, into the loving heart-shaped box with the lid. And then you get to have this time to be poured into. So now with this extra room and space, Just feel how I'm moving around. It feels good. How does that feel to you? Let's actually take a breath, expanding into that new space without all the distractions. And I actually invite you to close your eyes. I like to close my eyes because it helps me focus inward and put my hands on my heart. I invite you to do the same. As we're pausing and breathing and coming together with curiosity, what is it you need today? What is it that will support you, empower you on your journey? And just see as you pause and you feel your heart and the beat. And then you notice that little pause in between the beats. What is that still, quiet space sharing with you today? A reminder, something you need, but are willing to receive because you have choice. So, what is it that you need today that you're open and willing to receive? Or perhaps you're being given a reminder to slow down, to be present, to receive, or another sort of reminder that's coming forward. Just sit with it for a moment. Beautiful. Let's take a breath, open our eyes, become fully present. And I invite you to write down what was laid on your heart. Let's get it out of swirling around in us and actually write it down and see how it starts to come forward during our time together today. So a tip is to have a paper, a notepad during our time together to take notes. And I hope that you end up with pages full of notes and inspiration and ideas as we go through our time together today. So write those things down that spark something within you. Maybe it's an action you want to take. Maybe it's a perspective. Maybe it's something, wow, I need to consider that or explore that, or another tool you can add to your toolbox. Take time to feel into those things and then write them down as they come forward. That stops it from just swirling around to someday and actually brings it forward to today, that you can truly bring forward what you're called to bring forward, those things that are calling you, that are coming forward in our conversation today. You'll also notice, those of you who are watching us live, it's live streamed. So you can write comments, you can write questions. Our team's going to be watching that and sharing those comments and questions with us throughout our time together today. So please interact. We love that. We also recording, so there will be a replay available if any of you want to re-listen to a part of what we're sharing today or share it out after. We love that. But sometimes it's nice to know it's recorded, that you can just be present. You don't even have to worry about writing everything down, capturing everything. You'll be able to just be present, write those things that touch your heart that you want to write down, and know that you can always go back and listen to a section again if you want to go deeper and be able to take notes on a higher level. So use this time. Let us pour into you. And I encourage you, as we continue on our journey today, to carve out some time after. And it doesn't have to be right after. It can be later today. It can be tomorrow. It can be over the weekend. There's a reason we do these on Friday. So you have the weekend while it's still fresh. So you can actually take some time for you as a result of what comes forward today. How are you going to shift how you are being and what you're wanting to bring forward? As I mentioned, all of our guests today are #1 international bestselling authors. They're going to be sharing a little bit about their journey and how did they do that? How did that come forward? A little bit about their book, why they were led to bring it forward. And what I find as I talk to people out there is so many of you have a book in you. So many of you someday want to bring it forward, that message forward. Or your friends have said, oh, you should write that down. You should publish that. You should get it out into the world. Well, I hope that today our authors, our speakers, our guests are going to be able to give you some tips and share their journey with you to help you on yours. Because if you are feeling that pull, if you're feeling that call to bring a story, a message forward, there's a reason it's needed now, not someday, maybe, hopefully will happen, but really it's needed now. There's an urgency and need for you to bring the gift of you forward, your story forward, sharing more of who you are. And whether that's in a written form or it's choosing to share it on a platform like this, or it's choosing to call a friend and share something with them, I want you to really listen to where you feel that pull and take a step to share, because the biggest gift we can give the world is more of us. The more we're willing to share who we truly are and what we are called to bring forward. So I want to encourage you as you listen today, as you experience this today, listen for, oh, that's a way I could share. That's a way I could bring forward some of who I am. Oh, that's a great idea. Or I want to try that. So be looking for those opportunities. That's how we make the world a better place, is being willing to share more of who we are, heart by heart, life by life, interaction by interaction. So you guys ready? I'm picturing you smiling, leaning in, but I'm going to ask again just to make sure. Are you guys ready to hear our first amazing guest? Okay, good. Then I'm excited to introduce Kay to you. She is a #1 international best-selling author who spent over 40 years supporting teens in schools, hospitals, and support group settings. As a school counselor, child life specialist, and support group facilitator, she has held space for children and teens as they navigated the challenging circumstances in their lives. She's the author of You Can Do Hard Things, and she is passionate about helping everyone and encouraging everyone, reminding us that we too can do hard things. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Kay Bush to the show. Welcome. The stage and show.
Woohoo! Thank you, Rebecca.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be here. And just thank you, everybody. I'm so excited to meet the other speakers or hear the other speakers. And I just appreciate this space and this opportunity to share my book and my work. And this is just a fun day. So yeah, I come from Utah, so happy spring from Utah. We might get snow next week, so we'll see. This has been an incredible journey for me of thinking for a long time that I had something in my head, I had something in my heart that I decided I needed to share. And I needed to write things down. And could something I wrote down, could something I share, could it help the young people that I worked with for so many years? So with lots of thinking, writing down the stories, and with lots of work, it turned into a published book. And my book was published May of 2024. And as Rebecca said, it's called You Can Do Hard Things, Life Tools for Teens. And I was blown away when it hit that international bestseller list in the first 24 hours in 3 countries, and hitting a total of 68 best-selling categories, with 20 categories ranking at #1. And that was just so exciting. And it's just been a lot of fun. But something that happened right immediately at this moment, the book published, is I had a huge sense of peace that I had done something and an accomplishment for myself, but I had a huge sense of peace that I did choose to share what was in my head, what was in my heart, and that it was important that I decided to share those things because I wrote those thoughts down, and And could this make a difference for a young person who might read my book? And that was huge for me to have that realization. Since then, my book has become a platform for me to keep sharing this message that I believe and I will always believe that young people can get through hard things and they can grow and find their way. In this space today, I want to share about this message and how it keeps evolving. And now is a work in progress of the next chapter of my journey. I wrote You Can Do Hard Things, Life Tools for Teens after more than 40 years of holding space for countless young people who are facing struggle, challenge, difficult circumstances, very difficult situations, or just growing up and trying to figure out who they wanted to be for the world. And I listened to them, and I listened some more, and I listened to their stories. And I am so grateful that I got to be in those spaces and support them as the best I could. I did my very best. I got to notice, because of those challenges, those tough things going on in their lives, I got to see these young people in their very difficult moments. But I got to notice that they could find strength to move themselves forward, even if just it was a little bit or a little step or a little action that did help them feel a greater sense of control over what was going on in their lives. And just that little bit often is what mattered and what helped to keep moving forward even further. They showed me over and over how they could find their ways through the hard things that they were facing. Those ways became the life tools of my book. And with their real stories that I share in the book and the journal pages to create action plans, it replicates exactly those spaces where I sat with that young person and I listened to their story and I encouraged them to notice their strength that they had within, that there was something they could do that would be that one small step to take care of themselves a little bit more. And so many of these stories that I share in the book and in my speaking and on my website and through my platforms, this message continues. And I'm just so grateful to be able to share what I've learned and what I learned from them. These 8 life tools, these are strategies, and they're always applied to each individual's life and circumstances and how they make sense. They are prompts to make a plan each day and create actions to take charge of. And then they get to review and revise them the next day and decide what can I do differently this next day to feel a little bit more in control of my situation. And they just keep going. And each person gets to use them how they fit into their life. These are the tools that I learned from the young people in front of me. They truly taught me. And when they used these strategies, they moved forward. Even if they were just those small actions, they kept building and to get through that tough situation, or maybe just find a better way to cope with it or manage the tough situation. If that situation might not change. But remembering about the life tools and strategies and trying these tools, they always helped. So I keep sharing these tools and encouragement with teens and everyone because I know they work. I've seen them work. Since publishing my book and sharing this message, there are 2 things that keep happening that I didn't expect. And those two, number one thing is adults hear my message and they say, this may be a book for teens, but I need these life tools. And the number 2 thing that keeps happening is I'm noticing in myself that I am using these life tools every day in my life and as an adult. And I keep seeing and noticing these 2 things, and I keep noticing them, and it keeps reminding me that we don't graduate from hard things. As adults, we're still doing the hard things. We have daily life, we have work, careers, relationships, changes in our life, loss in our lives. making our plans and then them changing, maybe things out of our control, maybe we're messing up on our plans, maybe we're sabotaging our plans. We're doing the hard things of trying to take care of ourselves, taking care of others, and trying to be who we think we should be. And how do we become who we want to be? We, the adults, we have to keep reminding ourselves to have courage in our lives. And we have to keep trying to take care of ourselves. We have to keep learning more about ourselves and who we want to become. And we have to begin each day again. And we have to keep going. And that's what we do as adults, right? These life tools that can help, they don't expire when we grow up or when we thought we grew up. Maybe we truly are still growing. So we keep needing these in our lives, and it's maybe exactly what we need are these life tools, these strategies to help us as adults to keep moving forward and to learn who we want to be and experience happiness in our lives. So as I talk more about this, I thought we'd do a quick exercise and practice one of these life tools. And this is the number one life tool from my book is to have courage. So in your space and in this moment, I invite you to let yourself think about your own life. And within your head and your heart, you won't have to share. Ask yourself, where and when, how do I show up with courage in my life? Is there something I want in my life, but I'm afraid to take the next step or the next action? Where and when and how can I show up with a little bit more courage to move closer to what I want in my life, or to take charge of my day that will help move me closer to what I want? How could this little bit more courage help me to create the life I want? So take your thoughts, let them sit with you, maybe something to write down later, and maybe make a plan for yourself, how you will show up with a little bit more courage in your next day. I encourage you to keep noticing this in your life. Thank you for taking this moment for yourself. I hope that gave you a little bit of one of the life tools. So this is the next chapter of the You Can Do Hard Things project. And this is my next chapter. And this is now my next book in progress. This book is called You Can Do Hard Things, Life Tools for a Lifetime. It's about using these same life tools. We need to keep using them through life and choosing to keep learning and growing. And here I am finding myself in my own next chapter. And I am practicing these life tools every day. And one of the life tools, another life tool that I use each day is the beginning again. And I use this on repeat. I say to myself each morning when I wake up, begin again today. I begin again with my plan to take charge of my day. I begin again looking back at yesterday's day, maybe something that didn't go as planned, or something I'm looking forward. What can I do better today? I'm going to keep trying. Or I was happy about yesterday and everything the way it went, and that's my boost. Let's do that again. So I begin again each day, and I remind myself to take care of myself each day. I begin again to keep trying, to keep learning. I begin again to create the life I want. I begin again to ask for help along the way. And I begin again always to remind myself to show up with my courage each day. I'm still doing the hard things too. And this is what I'm hearing from other adults, that they are doing the hard things and evolving on their own paths. And we're all still doing the hard things of life. And this isn't just a message for teenagers. The truth is we're always becoming, and every stage asks every stage of life asks something new of us. And hard things are not a sign that life is going wrong. It's a part of being alive. And these tools are for living life. I'm living this message, I'm evolving with it, and I'm now creating a community where we can all remember and remind each other how we can get through hard things and to realize our strength, to keep learning, to become our best selves together. This will become my next book because it is my next chapter. These are the thoughts in my head and in my heart, and I want to share them and inspire others. I invite you to join me to become a part of this community, to share your story, your learning, your evolving as you navigate the hard things of life. You can do hard things at any age. And in closing here, thank you for listening in this and letting me share this in this space here. If this message resonates with you, please reach out and connect with me. Please follow my social media, Substack posts, and inspiration. You can find all the links on my website. It's youcandohardthings.today. And my website's evolving as well. It will continue to link my book for teens and stories about teens. And coming soon, I will be adding stories of adults and getting through hard things. So I would love to hear from you. And until then, remember, you can do hard things. You've got this. Take care.
Thank you, Kay. What a beautiful presentation. I love that exercise, that opportunity to just kind of think about courage and taking that next step. I so appreciate it. And I had some
So,
questions coming through. So
okay.
I wanted to bring those forward here. So the first one is you spent over 40 years listening to teens go through really tough situations. What is one moment or story that deeply changed how you understand resilience, and why did it stay with you?
I think gosh, there are so many stories. Um, but maybe something that pops in my mind of some stories when I worked in the hospital setting is maybe one story of a young little patient with a terminal condition, and cystic fibrosis was the disease that she had. And you know what? She showed up every day with a smile on her face and just incredible strength to keep going and to keep doing what was in her control and to keep finding her way. And I think so many times, and maybe with all these young people in the hospital setting, where I I thought, how could you? How hard is this? How can you keep going? But they did. And I noticed those small little things they did that helped them. And so this young patient that I knew with cystic fibrosis, and she laughed every day. She found a way to laugh. She told jokes. She found her ways to cope. She connected with people, and she inspired me. And she was maybe one of the first young people that just showed me there are ways to keep managing through tough situations.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Every day, choosing to show up with a smile and engage and find joy in life is powerful.
Mhm.
Powerful. Thank you. And I do have a couple more questions here. So, a lot of teens feel like they're the only ones struggling, even when they're not. And I think this goes for adults too, but the question's focused on teens. From what you've seen, what's one of the simple mindset shifts or tools that can help a teen feel less alone almost immediately? What can help
I,
shift that?
yeah, I think absolutely talking with someone. This is one of the important life tools is ask for help and reach out for help. So whether it's in their family setting, their school setting, they're reaching out on a helpline. 988 is the simplest helpline to have somebody listen. And I think when a young person can sit with another person in whatever form and have someone listen to them, then I think they can feel less alone. and ideally that adult that is listening can remind them, they're not alone, and that they can, that, and it's absolutely an opportunity. Lots of teens need to be reminded. Yes, many things are going on with many teens, but also be reminded their story is their story and it's real, whatever it is. And it is relevant. And whatever is tough in their life doesn't have to be judged or measured by anything else or any other teen, but it is real. And but I think that reaching out for help and asking for help and talking with somebody is will always help anyone to feel less alone.
Thank you. I find that so true. I was just thinking, that moment I finally share, I don't just keep it inside. Suddenly it's like a relief and I instantly feel less alone and things feel more doable. So I
Yeah.
find that as an adult, and I love that reminder that it's important that we reach out and that we share and honoring our truth, what we see, what we are experiencing. I think that's important too. Thank you. Now, this person, so these are fans, they're reading your book. So here's they're
Yay!
they're saying your book emphasizes taking small steps forward for a teen watching this right now who maybe feels stuck or overwhelmed. What's a small action they can take that can start changing their path?
One of the smallest actions that I think has such a big bang is just stopping and pausing and breathing. Just taking some deep breaths. And I used to sit with students, high school students in front of me, and we needed to just breathe. And there can be so many things that are going on, and just taking that moment to take care of themselves, and then them realizing I can breathe, I can practice. I mean, the term mindfulness, meditation, whatever it is, but letting your body breathe can do so much to relax and just the whole system and calm the system down. And it's pretty incredible how then their brain and their mind and ideas can open up of, oh, here's what I could do next. So often we started with just breathing, nothing else needed to happen, and to just sit in our space, and breathe, and then decide what's my next action and my next step. And something can always open up, like, okay, I think I can do the next thing, to go talk to somebody or to write something down or make a plan. So, but that's a good first place to start, is just breathing and doing something healthy to take care of yourself in that
Oh,
moment.
thank you. And I notice when I pause and breathe, I'm like, okay, I have a little in 30 seconds, I can have a little bit different perspective. I
Mhm.
feel like, okay, I can feel my stress levels just dropping a little bit just in that short amount of time of pausing and breathing. And
Mhm.
then with a different vision, we can move forward. And I love that that's enough, that we can just start with the breath
Mhm.
and being
Yep.
present. It's
Yes.
beautiful. It looks like I have one additional question. Now, this is interesting. It's so out of the 8 tools, because you mentioned there are 8 tools, which one do teens avoid the most and why?
Um, Maybe it's the number 5 tool of take care of yourself. And that might be the one where we know, and it's normal development, where teens are maybe not eating well or sleeping well, or they're not doing those things. It's can kind of sound boring, like try to get more sleep, try to eat a better diet. That can sound boring and doesn't sound fun or interesting, but that can be a huge step towards getting through something tough that's going on in their life, and something hard is taking some time to think about what's something healthy that I can do that will help me, to take care of myself. And let's see how that feels, of how I can better manage the hard things that are going on in my life. So that might be when they resist a little bit. They want to stay up all night. They want to eat the junk food, all those things that, it's normal development to kind of go through all that, but it definitely is a good place if they can get on board with it to feel better.
Thank you for sharing. And I think it's great advice for all the non-teens out there too, is to pay attention to that, the sleep, the
Mhm.
eating, the diet. Are you doing things to support yourself as well, especially as we pour into others?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your sharing today. Any final thought as you reflect back on our conversation and your presentation?
I my words on my heart when you always ask at the beginning, what's on my heart is I hope that my voice can convey, just how important I believe this is, that we all believe in ourselves and that we can at any age, that we can get through hard things, that we can find our way. And there are these tools that can help us. And I do hope for everyone to hear that message and know that there's always something that they can do to get through hard things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And do you mind giving your website and the full title of your book and where they can find it? Just want to make sure everybody got that.
Yes, my website is youcandohardthings.today. So www.youcandohardthings.today. And on the website is the link to my book as well as other things. The book is called You Can Do Hard Things, Life Tools for Teens.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing
You.
today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the success of your book. And I'm excited about another one coming. You heard it here first, everybody. It's continuing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank
Again,
you, Rebecca.
absolutely my pleasure. And listeners, viewers, I want to give you just a moment to write down any thoughts that you had. Remember, we have our notepad there, any step that you want to take, maybe looking at a couple of the tools, perspectives that Kay shared with us, that taking care of yourself, the pausing, the breathing, the forming a plan, and taking a step. So when I tie those together, not just a plan, but a step on the plan. So you're in motion with that. I'll just give everyone a moment and then we'll bring up our next amazing guest. Okay. I'm excited to introduce our next amazing guest. I know you'll love her. And I appreciate her energy, her presence, her passion for helping people bring their stories forward and really honoring them. So, Catherine Farr is a #1 international bestselling author of The Last Mile is Always Three. She is a life writer and adores exploring stories of normal people doing hard things. She's the first female on her mother's side to graduate from high school. After homeschooling her 6 children, she earned her bachelor's of English. During the COVID pandemic, she traveled to the UK to earn her master's in biography and creative nonfiction. She is passionate about helping people capture their extraordinary stories and see that they're extraordinary and share them with the world. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Catherine Farr. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. That was really a lovely introduction. Um, yes, so I just love what I'm doing now. It took me almost a lifetime to figure it out what I wanted to do, and I didn't go back to school until I was in my 50s. But I did do that, and it was a hard thing. But that's what, and I love that I came right after Kay because yes, life is all about doing hard things from the time you're young and then all the way through till you're old. So my book is The Last Mile is Always Three, which indicates that that last mile, either on the trail or in life, is going to be harder. It's going to feel like 3 miles, even though it's only one. And my book kind of talks about that, explains through the experiences of many women who have been hiking the Teton Mountain Range for 35 years on every Tuesday. It explains some of their adventures, explains some of their heartaches, some of their illnesses they've struggled through, the injuries they've struggled through, and how they have come and been successful at the other end, at the other side of the mountain.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm really excited to share that.
I love it. And I love that you chose this book to bring forward and share their stories. I'd love to know why. Why was this the one that you felt was important to bring forward and share?
Well, okay, so I did my undergraduate studies at BYU, Idaho. Yay, Idaho, go Idaho. And and then, like you said, during COVID, I went over to England. So I had a professor who said, "Well, why aren't you going to get a master's?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to work the rest of my life to pay off my master's degree." And he's like, "No, no, no, there are scholarships and stuff." And I said, "Yeah, but they don't give scholarships to old ladies like me." And they're like, he says, "Try out the Fulbright scholarship." So I applied after we got kicked out of school for COVID. I spent the next 3, 4 months researching and applying and remembering what I'd been taught in my undergrad about master's programs. And I applied for the Fulbright scholarship and I got to the semifinals. I think I was the last of like within the last 3 to 5 people that were going to get that one scholarship. And I did not get it. But my husband, as gracious as he is, said, "Well, you got to go. You have to do this. You've already been accepted to the University of East Anglia in the biography and creative non-writing program. You got to go." And so I'm like, "Really? Okay, I'll go." So I went over, I lived in the dorms, I lived in the flats with other international students, and I did this master's program. It was a 1 year program and it was very intense. And England does holiday right. They give you 3 weeks off whenever there's a holiday. So I did 3 weeks at home for Christmas and 3 weeks at home for Easter. And then I wrote my dissertation. So my dissertation, I was like, oh, I've got to write something that I know because it's a very short period of time to do a really comprehensive work and show everything that I've learned and all that I can do. And so I thought, well, I've been hiking with these women. I can write their memoir. And they graciously gave me their permission. I think they did not know what they were getting themselves into. Well, I know they didn't. So I interviewed them all while I was here. I came home, interviewed them all summer, and submitted my dissertation in October and got a great grade on it, and then promptly put it away. I went back to real life. I actually got my first clients, and so I'm 2 years into writing their biography, but was doing that. But then I just, in the last couple months, was thinking, well, I guess it's been about, when was this? Probably almost 6 months ago. I thought, I need to see about publishing this. I learned some things about publishing when I was in my master's program, but I've not done it. And, I need to do hard things. So I started researching and everything. And I tell you, it is much harder than I ever anticipated. So, so I hired an editor, an editing company, and they helped me to um, brush up, take this old manuscript, and well, I did some more interviews as well because I knew I needed to update it because it had been a couple of years. So I updated it, sent it to an editing company, and they helped me brush it up with the editing, which is I highly recommend everyone. I know you're a great editor. I know you know grammar or whatever, or you have your friend or somebody do it, but hire a company. They know what they're doing. Find someone who is very sympathetic and it works out really well. So I hired them, and then I also hired a great marketing company. Rebecca helped me with the marketing part of it, and still, it was just really, really hard, and it was just a lot to undertake and think that you could get it done in any period of time that you set on yourself. So that's another one of my advice is don't set a timeline. Don't set a boundary because it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take.
Great tips. Thank you for sharing. And I think that is so smart. You do want to have an editor come in and support because you're just too close to it and your mind can just fix things that aren't fixed as you're
Yeah.
reading it and bringing it forward. And I like how you said, I don't think they fully knew what they were getting into in bringing this forward as it went out into the world. It became a #1 international best-selling book, and you even garnered some media attention. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I had to beg them each because all of these hikers are just your normal, regular, everyday people. You see them in the grocery store, you pass them when you're driving by, you volunteer with them in your volunteer groups. They're poll workers, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs. They've had careers, and yet, they most of them are not on social media. So for me to come in and ask them, "Hey, spread this on social media," they all went, "What? I don't even know. No, I don't want to do that. And I don't want the attention." And then one gal did, and she Perchance was friends with Chris Milgate, and Chris Milgate has written her own series of books. And she's also a videographer and she produces shows. And so she came and wanted to interview us for a PBS special. And so PBS Idaho came out and filmed us on a hike together and did a wonderful show. It's just beautiful cameo of the group and highlighted the book and what we do here in Idaho in the Teton Mountains. And it was just delightful. And yet some of them were still like, oh, I don't like the attention. And I totally get it. They were very gracious to give me the permission to write their stories. They told me some really great stories, some that were very personal. And yet, it's a small pond. We're a little small pond over here in Eastern Idaho. And I didn't think that they thought it would go to the edges of the pond and really be received and have a lot of momentum as it has. And so when I asked them, oh, well, will you come do a book signing with me? I have these grand plans. I just jump into the deep end and I just figure it out as I go along. And had these grand plans of having this book signing. So I went around and I found a venue and barbecue joint in town said, sure, come in and do this and I'll give you some free giveaways and make a deal. And so we did that and they were just not sure that they wanted to sit at a table and sign books. But on the day when their family and friends and people they hadn't seen in a while came in to have their books signed, they were all really gracious and had a great time. And I put big video screen up with different photographs and videos from previous hikes over 35 years playing as we were going, just talking and chatting and it was just really a fun event.
I love it. And I love that you invited all of them along to join in this whole journey. And I was thinking even the cover. Do you mind sharing about the cover, what it looks? Yeah, show the book. There you go.
Yes.
What is this picture, this image?
Okay, so this is a photograph that I took just at the beginning of one of our hikes. I just said, hey, let's just put our feet in here and just get everybody. And this is me right here. This is my foot. This is my shoe. And can I just tell you a little secret
Everyone
too?
signed their shoe.
Well, yeah. Well, throughout the book, they just went and assigned their chapter.
Aw.
Wherever they were in the book, they signed in their little spot in the book. But a little secret, I haven't told anybody except for my husband knows. So this picture was probably taken in 2000, oh gosh, 21 or 22. This was before COVID, I think, or maybe right around that time. And so these shoes had long since hit the dumpster. They have been totally worn out and everything. But I bought another pair, a used pair, so I could wear it at the book signing. So I wore these shoes on the book. So if you ever see me at another book signing, or if you ever catch me, I'll be wearing these shoes because I have this thing. It's kind of just my little. But yeah, this was all of. And let me tell you another thing about the editing process. So when I was in my master's program, and they talked about publishing, they said, do not. This is a huge faux pas. Do not go in with a title or with a cover that you think is going to sell. You let the experts decide what's going to sell your book and you don't argue with them. So I was like, okay, I'll log that away. I did not do that. I went in with this cover. I wanted this picture. I thought this would be fabulous. And I went in with this title because one of the hikers, Kathy, she happened to say that at the end of one of our hikes when I was doing the interview. She goes, somebody says, how much longer? And they call out, oh, it's another mile. And she says, the last mile is always 3. And I thought, that's a great title. And when I went into the editing company, they fought me against that, of course, because I think every respectful editing company would. The author can't possibly come up with the right title and the right cover. And so they took the cover and they highlighted it a little bit. It's got a little bling here. It's got little sparkles and so it jumps out a little bit more. But I fought them on the title. They wanted all kinds of titles. I said, sure, give me some other ideas, but nothing else came in as good as this. And I have had everyone who sees this loves the title, loves the cover, and I think it's a good deal. I think it shines. I think it sold a lot of books. So you gotta, I think I would suggest, keep it in mind. And I will go right back to that for my next book. I will put off the urge to design the cover and the title, but also trust yourself, trust your heart, because sometimes you just do know. Sometimes you just know.
I love that. It's so important because you're the messenger chosen for the book and to bring it forward. So you've got to feel aligned and at peace with how it's being positioned, the container it's in, what's being brought forward. I mean, it's wise to listen to the experts and what they share, but then that ultimate decision, I think, is yours as the author, and that's important because you know who you're trying to reach, you know what you're bringing forward. Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Well, I'm just looking at my notes because I have a few questions. I was getting caught up in your answers. I love what you're sharing. And yeah, so as you've brought this book forward and it's rippled into the world, what are you hoping it shares or inspires people to do? What do you hope they take from it? One or two things. One or two things.
Well, I really am passionate about writing real stories. I don't creative nonfiction is this great genre, right? It takes the nonfiction facts, but then it can put you into the world of when these things happened and how they felt, what they smelled like. And this is what my education's in. And it's important to tell stories truthfully. You don't want to embellish them and make them just for clickbait or whatever, because I think the heart and the soul knows when it's being duped. And so you want to make sure that your stories are told thoughtfully and in an exciting way, one that engages the reader. And I think when you're dealing with people telling their own stories, their biographies, their memoirs, you get this pushback. Well, I get the pushback of, oh, my story's not that important. Oh, my story's not that exciting. And the reality is that those are the stories that exactly resonate in the hearts of people when they read them. So tell real stories is what I'm hoping that this book will, well, and I know that that's what people are drawn to. They want real stories, and stories that will show the changes that have happened throughout the hard things that people do and over a lifetime, and the real struggle so that readers can really feel the triumph. And sometimes we want to hide some of those gritty details. And I know Becky understands this really well. I bought and read her book as well. And the gritty details are hard to tell. They're painful and they're hard to read. And it took me several going back to Becky's book in order to get through it because I did not want to be in that world for very long at a time. But those are the things that are real and that where you can really see the change, where your heart really does resonate. And I think this is what happens. And that's one of the real exciting things about releasing the book is the feedback that I've gotten has been a couple things. Well, first of all, you can see it's a very short book and it has a lot of photographs of the trail. And people say, oh, I couldn't put it down. I read it in an afternoon, or I read it in 2 afternoons. And I love that. And one of my friends, I play pickleball with her, and she said, I don't read books, but I started to read it and I couldn't put it down. And I love that, that it inspires people because it's just real and our hearts just stay engaged with real people doing real things.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I love it. And our stories are interesting.
Yes, they are.
And impactful in how we live everyday life and our perspective, and to be able to capture that and share that with others, I think is important and powerful in the work that you do. And did you have a little section you wanted to share with us to give us a sample, or did you want to expand on one of the things that you shared? I know we talked about both things, and either is
Thank you
great.
so much.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll just read a little bit at the end.
Perfect.
And this is kind of encapsulates the whole message of the book. Wake up early, hoist a backpack, step on all rock or all sand, never sand on rock. Inhale, exhale, choose the highest peak and rejoice that you are exhausted. All of us began hiking in our 40s and 50s. It's never too late to do hard things. On the trail and in life, the last mile is always 3. Find some friends. The mountains are calling. There you go.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I love the tips that you've given us and the perspective around writing and taking steps forward. And then part of this just amazing group for so many years that you guys have been on these trails walking, the sisterhood that gets created in that, the lives that you get to walk beside each other and the highs and the lows, both physically and in the journey of life. So I just love that. As you reflect back on our conversation, is there any final piece or tip on your heart that you want to share with our viewers today?
Okay, two things. Earlier in the very beginning of the program, you said that your voice is needed. And I know that your viewers want to, I mean, they're here to understand that and to feel that. And so, one thing that happened over and over again when I was in my early education, so high school and early college education, is that my teachers, my professors would write on my papers and let me know that they said, you have a very distinct voice. And even though like my grammar and my methods were still very rough and it still needed a lot of polishing and a lot of education, I kept hearing that over and over again, that my voice was distinct. And so even when you're starting out and you're just writing, your voice is needed. And everyone's voice, I think, is distinct and has something to tell. So keep with it. Get as much education as you need and as you can. And there's so many avenues to get education. And just polish and polish. The one of my other professors told me, life-changing, just a little statement. He gave me permission to write badly. And then he taught me how to edit and to rewrite what I have rewritten. So write it down, write it as rough and ugly as it needs to be, and then go back and re-edit. And, isn't that life too? I mean, isn't that our whole life? We do things, we make mistakes, but we go back and we can fix them. And so my final thought would be to do the hard things. Prepare yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the strength and the endurance that you will need to accomplish your goals. When you live this kind of life, the last mile will always be 3, but it's okay. You can do it. We can all do it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. I so appreciate it. And I do have a few questions as well that our viewers are wanting to bring forward. So here's one question. What happens on a mountain that can't happen anywhere else?
Oh, I love that. What happens on a mountain that can't happen anywhere else? Well, you join in this adventure. You're surrounded, but yet you are open when you're on a mountain. And the vistas give you, when you get to the top, you've worked so hard to get to the top. The mountain gives you that vista that there's still so much more in the world. There's so much more out there that you can, like, I want to hike that one now. I want to go to that peak now. Or you see the clouds and you see miles and miles of rolling flowers. Your vista just opens up, and you kind of can't get that in sitting in my little room in my little booth. You've got to have that. And I love that. There's the sights, the smells, and just the openness of the mountain that just is invigorating and shows you that there's so much more that you can do.
Beautiful. Thank you. And here's another question again about the hikes. So, do you remember a hike where everything changed for someone in the group?
Everything changed. Well, I do talk about Camille's hike. She has agoraphobia. I think I'm saying that right. I got it right in the book, but it's the fear of heights. And it's Delta Lake where we're going up. And hikes usually are gradual heights. So that wasn't it. It's when you're on the edge and you can see how high you are. And we had to cross 3 really wide boulder fields. And so she's standing with her toes on the edge of the boulders as she's shimmying along. And she was very scared. It was really hard. And so someone right before her, someone right after her, were talking with her. And she got through the 3 boulder fields. And then you get up to Delta Lake, where we're at the base of the Grand Teton with a huge alpine lake right at the bottom of it. And it's the color of blue you've never seen before in without being in nature. And then I made it. I am here. And then she had to turn around and go back through the boulder fields. But when you're in the mountains, that's when, we always joke about, calling a helicopter to come get us when we're real exhausted. But, that's not going to happen. And she made it through. And she really was able to overcome a fear that really had plagued her for such a long time. And so that was really rewarding.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You guys got to be part of that and support her
Yeah.
through. Really,
Yeah.
really beautiful. So let me just, there's a couple more questions here. So this person has read your book and she feels like, this group that got formed over 30 years, 35 years is really, really powerful. And what do you think helped create the connection? Because it's become more than just hiking. There are these life journeys you're going on and through for so many years on this journey. They can really be carried through those hard things, those scary things. What do you feel like helped create that?
Well, the heart and soul of the group is their faith. They all have faith in God, faith in Jesus Christ. And as you read in the book, every hike starts out with prayer. And
Mm.
they've never had severe injuries, or bear attacks moose attacks or anything like that. Well, I don't know. Toward the end, I do tell one about Shan. Shan had a pretty big fall, not to spoiler alert in the story. Um, but that would be the most severe one was Shan's, and that's why it was highlighted in the book. But prayer and faith. So one of the things I loved about the group is when we're doing these 15 20-mile hikes, we about every mile, probably about every 2 miles, the one who's in the front switches and goes to the back, and then someone else is the leader, and they set the pace. And so the group changes the dynamic, who you're before and after, and what the conversations will be. And so all the women have been sharing their personal needs, their wants, their frustrations, their traumas. And with faith, we just have these great discussions up on the mountain again, where you have this much larger perspective of life and the world, and the scenery just brings in just all of the strength that a faithful life can live. So I do know that these women, the heart of it is their faith, their common faith.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I love that that's the beginning and that you rotate as your everyone gets to lead, everyone gets to follow, everyone gets to have a different dynamic as they are continuing forward on this journey. I love that. Well, we are getting close on time. If we didn't get a chance to bring your question forward, I'm going to have Catherine share her contact information. So have your pins ready. Catherine, what is the best way for people to connect with you, to go deeper, to bring their questions to you? And we'd love your full title of your book as well and where we can get it.
Okay. So my website is lifewritingcatherine.com. So life writing, and Catherine is spelled with a C, Athryn. I know it's really confusing. Cathryn. So it's lifewritingcatherine.com. And my book is available on there. I'm highlighting The Last Mile is Always 3 right now on my webpage. And all of those little media events, the PBS special is also linked in there under the media page, and you can watch all those fun things. And this one will be there as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing and congratulations on the success of your book as it continues to go out into the world. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And viewers, those of you who are watching us live, oh, absolutely. I would love to give you a moment and time to just write down anything that's touching your heart, your spirit, just having a moment to kind of write down she's given some great tips, insights, and perspectives. So writing some of those things down so that you're, again, bringing them forward, bringing them into reality is wonderful. And we are getting ready to go to our first break. We think it's important that the pacing and that we all have an opportunity to just kind of pause, move around a little bit, and then we'll be back to continue our next segment. So please tune back in. We'll be back in 10 minutes. So mark 10 minutes on the clock. We'll be connecting back in 10 minutes for the second powerful segment. And we are looking forward to continuing our conversations today. Welcome back, everyone. Here's part 2 of our virtual summit today. We're excited to continue the conversation. Hope that you got to move around a little bit during that break, and then we are looking forward to continuing our conversation. So we have another beautiful speaker coming up. Her name is Lori Hartley Moore. I know you're going to love her energy, her heart, her spirit, her passion for color. You're going to enjoy all of those things about her. She is a #1 international bestselling author and of The Color Constitution. I want to make sure I let you know the book title, The Color Constitution. And she is a certified holistic health practitioner, human behavioral expert, nationally credited Native American medicine woman with over 35 years of experience in health and wellness. And as a practitioner, creator, and mentor, she is passionate about empowering you to reclaim your mental well being and a balanced life filled with vibrant health and happiness. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the dynamic, vibrant, and colorful Lori Hartley Moore. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so honored to be able to share today. And I get rolling, and you never know where we're going. So hold on for the ride. It's always fun, and it's always an adventure. I love interaction. So go ahead and put your questions, put your comments in the chat as I'm sharing here for the next several minutes. And I want to start with a question. And literally, I would like to know how many of you, by raise of hands, have ever wished that you had a secret superpower? Anybody? Yeah, for sure. So maybe I know a lot of times I will get the response people wish they could fly, or maybe they could have the superpower of being invisible so they could like listen in on different scenarios. Or maybe their superpower is they just wish they were, superhuman strength. They were so strong. Well, I am a firm believer in a secret superpower that I love to teach about. And this secret superpower is able to help us be happier, find better health, and find more harmony in the relationships that matter most to us. And as you've probably guessed, this secret superpower is color. Color is a underutilized tool that I believe once you know and understand, it really gives you that power to create on a level that you've never experienced before. So let's go into it a little bit more. I would love your permission to share my personal story. Can I get a head nod? Is that okay? I'm going to pick up the book here. Here's our book, The Color Constitution. And I just want to read this paragraph here. This is in the prologue of the book. And this, again, is my personal story. I was 23 years old the night my mother the night my world opened to the endless possibilities of color. We had just pulled into the driveway of my childhood home. The hospital had called earlier to explain that my mother, who had been fighting a 3-year battle with cancer, would likely not survive the night. Her final wish was to pass peacefully at home. As my father stopped the car in the driveway, my mother, resting on the reclined front seat, opened her eyes and turned her head toward the front lawn. With a calm and steady voice, she said, "Look at that white horse." Confused, I glanced at the empty front lawn and asked, "Mom, what do you see?" I'll never forget the look on her face. Tears began to flow down her hollowed cheeks as she struggled to find the words to describe what she was seeing. "It's all the colors," she exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. "Even more colors than this world has ever seen." She described the white horse standing on our front lawn, shimmering with a spectrum of colors beyond anything I could comprehend. Over the next 8 days, as her body gradually released her spirit, She was gifted with visions of things that seemed to exist between this world and the next. Each time, each time she described them, her words painted a picture of colors so vivid, so otherworldly, that they left an indelible mark on my soul. I will never forget the white horse that came to my mother, adorned with colors beyond what we are currently capable of seeing. That moment changed me forever, for color became my solace, my connection between this world and the next, and my guide in understanding the beauty and the mysteries of this life. This book is a collection of the last 33 years of my life living in full color. It is the tribute to the lessons my mother's short 44-year journey on this earth taught me, and a celebration of the profound power of color to heal, inspire, and connect us to something much greater than ourselves. Thank you for letting me share that personal story. So, what does this mean for you? What I would like to do is share three things in our short time we have together, three things that I think will help color to become a pivotal tool for all of you. So, number one, everything on this planet is energy. Now, I know that might sound a little woo-woo, but I promise you, I'm all about the science. I love to understand how things work. And one of the things that I have spent a lot of time researching is how every piece of matter on this planet, whether it's a solid wood desk, a plant, that's outside, the water. Indelible mark on my soul. Oh, we're getting a little feedback. Okay, we're good. All right. So whether it's the liquid water that's in, your water jug, or us as human beings, we are all electrical beings. And even down to that very nucleus in the cell, science has yet to be able to explain what that energy is, but they are sure that there is a vibration and a life force that is there. So number two is that if we are all electrical, color is also part of that electrical system. And just like we look at the green plant, we think the leaf is green. What we're actually seeing is a frequency through the way that the light waves are hitting into our eyes. We are seeing a vibration that shows up to us as the color green. While the plant is reflecting all other frequencies and colors, we're perceiving green as an energy from a scientific base versus just seeing green as a color green. So that being the case, then all color being an energetic frequency has an influence on our energetic being. And we are surrounded by color. So everywhere you look, there is color in this world. So if we understand this, we can then begin to utilize the attributes of each color to influence and create the things that matter most to us. Are you with me? Okay, so what I would like to do with the last few minutes of our time together, I grabbed one of my favorite tools. Let's see if you can see this without the reflection. This is called the Color Constitution. This is a tool that I love to hand out. And by the way, this is free on the book website, which is thecolorconstitution.com. So you are welcome to download this. Scroll down towards the bottom, you'll find the link for this. And what I love most is that you can print this out. It's designed to be able to put up in your closet every morning. So this tool is all about how we use our wardrobe as a means to bring color therapy or color healing in to our everyday life. How many of you have ever started out your morning and you put on an outfit, or maybe it's just the shirt, and instantly you're like, nope, taking it off. That's not the right shirt for me. And you don't know why. You just know you're just not in the mood for it, or it doesn't fit right, or worse, you put it on knowing you don't love it and run out the door, and then all day long you just feel not yourself or uncomfortable. Well, what's actually happening is it's a color frequency that is in friction. It's not lining up with what your energetic body is needing for the day. Isn't that interesting? So this chart, literally, you can see this list of colors here. You can put it up in the closet and simply look at it. And I want you to, without any judgment, just glance at the color that you're first drawn to. So let's say that, for instance, today I knew that I wanted the color red. So I chose this red blouse, and oftentimes I'll choose a secondary color as well to put with it. So I know that this color, being red, its characteristics have been noted for centuries in many different cultures for attributes or characteristics that would represent things like red brings confidence. It strengthens, it motivates, it centers us, it helps you align as your authentic self. And it is also well known as the color of love. And of course, that's part of my heart's desire today, is to just share my love of color and how you can benefit from understanding more about it. So I love to utilize color in probably the simplest way is through our clothes, but you have to understand that because color is everywhere, we can incorporate it through all kinds of means, whether we're decorating a room or we're putting maybe a simple vase on our desk in our office to create a mood or a vibration, a feeling. And we can also utilize color therapy through even our food. You might be craving something that, let's say, it's a bowl full of berries, or it's a banana that sounds good for the afternoon, or maybe it's something like full of green that just reinforces that life force, that vitality that you're looking for again. Color is a tool, and we can use it in so many different ways. And again, I could go on for hours in teaching you everything about the history of color, the science, the theory behind color. We can go inside the book, I do the 12 the most known colors, and every color has 8 pages where we go through all of the characteristics, the personality behind it. And then we even travel into how you can create with color, again, through designing the perfect space, by utilizing it in your personal care through makeup and wardrobe. You can even utilize it in what you want to create in your relationships by using different color systems to communicate what your needs are. There's so much to color. So as you can tell, I love color. I'm super excited about it. This book came about because of my love for color, but for years I teach what we call color clinics, and they're full day retreats where you get to come and interact and learn everything from A to Z about color. And often location is a problem for people that aren't local to me or don't have the means to fly in. So when this book came to life, it was really about how do we bring this knowledge to the world so that everybody has the opportunity to utilize color as their own secret superpower. So I hope that you will go to the website. One of the funnest things I love about the book is at the end of every chapter, there's a QR code where you can be led over to our free community. And there's over 15 book bonuses that you can download for free again that they're specific to each chapter. So if we're learning about color theory, then you can go and download the chart that teaches you the tints, the tones, the shades, everything you need to know about the perfect colors for yourself. So make sure you utilize all of the fun things that are out there, and I would love to share more when we get another chance to be together.
Thank you, Lori. I so appreciate, and I can feel your passion for color and the frequency and everything that you are bringing forward in this space. I so appreciate it. So appreciate you. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. I have a number of questions pouring in. I'm going to see how many we can get through to share today. So let's see. One of them is, I'm always choosing black or gray, and I tend to avoid yellow. What might that be reflecting about me? What does that mean?
Yes. Okay. So, one of the things to note is every color has its opposites. And in the book, we talk about your can be's. So, perhaps let's look at black. Black, on one hand, think of a black tie affair or something that is high in stature. You go to the symphony and it's pristine and precise, and the beauty of black. And then if you flip it into the opposite, black's also known as something that's dark or scary, or maybe it's a cloak to hide behind. A lot of people have they're under the impression that black makes them look skinnier, or, or they just feel better in black. And that can be very true, but it can be true for the positive or the negative. Sometimes the color black is because it is, a power expression, where others think of we discussed earlier about our teens that were struggling. So many teens choose to wear all black and feel like it's something they can hide behind. Interestingly enough, black is the color that actually absorbs all the frequencies. And so they're not only potentially amplifying their own emotions, but they could be feeling the environment around them or other people's issues as well. So there's the positive, and also I don't think anything in color is a negative, but it's a can be. If you step into a fear-based space, then sometimes that color can be not necessarily your best or healthiest choice. And yellow's an interesting color. Some people can wear it, some people think they can't. Everyone can wear yellow. We just have to find the right tint, tone, or shade of yellow that works with your unique blueprint. Is that helpful?
That's great. Great. Thank you. Well, and what I'm taking from this is you're sharing, and I'm sure our viewers as well, is it's more complicated. It's not just a this is it, but to look a little bit deeper on the positive and the other. And I love, that black absorbs, being aware of that it's pulling everything in. So I think that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we have another question here. For skeptics listening, what's the strongest evidence that color truly impacts us? They're not
Ooh.
claiming to be the skeptic, but for those listening.
Yeah, there's actually a whole chapter in my book about the history and the science. And we have many, many people that are way smarter than I am, that over the years, there are pioneers for the study of color. So think about Aristotle, and he being the first theory colorist. Isaac Newton, Unlocking the Spectrum. His work on how we actually see color is really, really, I want to say potent, but it's just the proof is in his studies. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, he studied the emotional power of color. Even Edwin D. Babbitt, he is one of the grandfathers known behind chromotherapy and how color actually affects the cells to heal. So there's lots of evidence base behind color being much more than just something that we use for decoration or an outfit that we would choose for ourselves.
I love it. Thank you. Well, and I like they can get all of that information in your book and dig into all of those studies. So I love that so much. It's such a beautiful cover that you created and brought forward with that. Now, there's a couple more questions. I'm choosing one. So anyone who I haven't gotten to your question, Lori will still love to hear them. We'll make sure she gets your contact information. But let me read this next one. So they're talking about how you describe colors kind of a superpower,
Yes.
a secret superpower. For someone listening right now, how can they start noticing things that are shifting in their own life through color?
Ooh, well, I always say that 90% of the work is bringing it to the surface and actually being aware of it. Once you understand and see it, you can't unknow it. So I would say just that exposure to the fact that color is actually an energetic tool that can be used for whatever it is you're trying to create is really your first avenue. And get curious, start studying. There's, if not the book, there's so much online about how color has been used throughout history, and how science, modern day science right now, is having so many breakthroughs with even like fourth stage disease, that they're utilizing color therapy to bring life back to the people that are, struggling from a health challenge. So just get curious, keep learning, look into it. And the more you understand color psychology, the more you will be able to take advantage of how you can make it work for you.
I love that, getting curious, digging in, and starting to pay attention. But you're right, it's that awareness
Yes.
leads to so much. So thank you. I appreciate your sharing and appreciate and love your passion for color. And that there's so much more involved than I think how we sometimes think about color, if we even do. In our daily life, we just know, oh, I feel this way, or I feel like this, or this feels great, but we're not maybe understanding why and what can be in that. So I appreciate your sharing today. I know it's just the tip of the iceberg there. And I wanted to make sure people knew how to connect with you. They can bring their questions to you, go deeper. What's the best way?
Yes, I would say go to the website, thecolorconstitution.com, and there's all kinds of information there. You can learn more about the book, about myself. There's a contact page where you can reach out and we could connect together via Zoom or on a phone call. And I love to teach, I love to speak, and I'm open to, just sharing the power of color. It's such a unique attribute to bring to a team or into your business, or even, especially just your personal life. So I'm all about connections and how I can help others achieve what their hearts are looking to have.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, appreciate the work that you're doing. Congratulations again on the success of your book. And I love all the free goodies, book specials, opportunities. They have all the goodies by leaning in and getting a copy and becoming part of your community as well. So I just want to underline that again for anyone looking to lean in and get a copy. And with that, I'm just going to give everyone a moment, just gather their thoughts, anything that's really touching their heart and spirit as they are reflecting on what you've shared with us today, that they just have a moment to write that down, gather that information. So let's give everyone a moment. Perfect. Okay, good. So, are you guys ready for our next amazing guest? Leaning in. Okay, great. Well, I'm excited to introduce our next amazing guest. She's all about heart connections, real authentic connections. I love this about her. So, Desley Hancock is a #1 international bestselling author of Heartfelt Connections. She is a conversationalist enthusiast. She loves conversations, a communication advocate, a realtor, entrepreneur, mother, grandmother, and trusted advisor. She has a degree in human communication. So you see some very consistent trends here. And she believes every human interaction carries the potential for love, learning, and laughter. At the center of her world are her faith and her family. She is passionate about heartfelt connections. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the heart-centered, dynamic, and powerful Desley Hancock. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. You're just so kind and so positive and uplifting. I appreciate that.
Oh, you are so welcome, and you make it so easy. So I am thrilled to have you joining us today. And I wanted to start our conversation with why? Why this book? Why was it important for you to bring it forward?
Yeah, that is a great question because when I started my journey, which was decades ago when I was a young mother with kids at home and started my journey, it was just for me. It was just my journey to become the best version of me. And that's all it was. And then I decided to put some thoughts together to give to friends and family because I was telling friends and family the same thing that I had learned. And then after trying to put that together, I was seeing around me, becoming more aware of conversations because of my own experience. I was seeing around me how we needed to rediscover our humanity. And I can explain that summary of the book because the book, Heartfelt Connections, to me, the short summary is rediscovering our humanity. And so I saw that and I'm like, oh, maybe more than my friends and family would benefit from this. And so I put it out there. So I decided to put the book out there because, along with myself and everyone around me, we needed to, everybody needed to rediscover our humanity. And I want to explain that summary because humanity is not a word that we use in everyday conversation. I think we all know that word, but we don't say it, it's not commonly talked about. But rediscovering our humanity is the foundation of any society, whether that be the country, your community, or your family society, is only as good as the individuals that are in it. Individuals are only as good as their being, I call the spirit the being, what's inside of us. What's inside of us is only as good as our conversations that we're having, because conversations is at the start of everything. And so I could see, and I think most people could agree, that our society has moved away from humanity. Humanity is the capacity to to have empathy, compassion, love, respect, all of those things. And we need to rediscover that. So that was my purpose.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I can see how much you thought through why you're bringing it forward, that clarity that you have and the change that you're looking to have and the opportunity in those connections. Now, as you've brought this forward and brought it out into the world, is there a moment that surprised you in that experience, or someone that read the book or reached out to you because of the impact it had for them?
There are, and when you call that moment, because for years I've been sharing the book message, wasn't necessarily a book, but the book message. And I think something else that helped me realize that people could use this, and when I say people, me too, I mean, this pertains to me, is that I was so surprised how many people don't like themselves. They don't think well of themselves. They don't speak well to themselves. They don't think they're worth anything. And for one thing, it broke my heart. For another thing, I'm like, we got to change this. We got to change this. And so, in sharing my book message, that's what was most surprising. I had some very, very heartfelt experiences with people in trying to help them um, rediscover that, right? Rediscover the humanity for yourself. And then it was just kind of re-emphasized when the actual book came out. I had one reader who got it right at the beginning. It's just been out for a couple of months. So I just had really just 2 months. But one reader got it and she was just going to read a couple of chapters and then put it down and just kind of get into it. She ended up reading the whole book in one sitting and she just said, I just kept going from chapter to chapter because I wanted to see what else was in there. So she read it in one sitting. I think Catherine said that she had someone that did theirs in one sitting, and that was just really nice to know. And then I had a coworker. I work in an office where there's about 20 people, and I had a coworker. We had an office meeting, and this coworker just said how he had gotten the book and how it had made a big difference in his life, and that yeah, it just made a difference. So yeah, there's kind of things all along.
Love it. I love it. And I know there was one reviewer who was a little bit skeptical at first, thinking that the conversation they were having in their family could really shift the dynamics. And they were amazed at what a difference it made and how they held the conversations, what they were telling themselves, how they were showing up. It just made such a profound difference. So, I feel like, and I read your book and I found it so insightful and it gives really good processes for anyone who wants to know like the process. How do we communicate well? What are some of the steps? I wish I had a roadmap to follow. This book really helps you do that, and it breaks it down, and it really includes the relationship you're having with yourself, which is so important. And you were talking about how harshly many people can speak to themselves, and even maybe sometimes how we do too. So it's so important to be looking at those things. I love your book. I'm a fan. Thank you for bringing it forward and sharing it out in the world. And is there something that because some of the stories are personal that you share, how did you decide to do that? Why was that important to you to share in that way?
It was important to me because my journey was my story. And I do have some other stories of people that I have had experiences with, but a lot of it is my story. And though it's not like a autobiography or biography, it just has stories along my journey. But they were my story. That was the message. Like, I guess it wouldn't be a book. I wouldn't have considered it a book unless it included my experiences. And the reason I could write the book with my experiences is because I came to that place where I accepted everything about me. Yeah, I had some hard experiences. People had harder experiences than me, yes. But I've had some hard experiences. I've had to change my ways. I've had to change things that I do in my conversations. And so I accepted that. I took responsibility and learned how to make that a learning experience and be okay with it. And this is what I say in the book, that once you're okay with yourself, like you've accepted yourself, you've embraced yourself, you've found yourself, you've done all of these things, then as you communicate to other people, you're okay. Like I'm okay. Like I put it out in a book, and I know I read a little bit about Becky's. I'm just so anxious here about Becky. Becky's book is a little is much more than mine is, and so I just know she put out a little more than I did. Um, but once I'd be interested to see what Becky said. But once you have accepted you, and you know the other's opinion of you or what people say, you're still okay because I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with myself. And that's how I could do that because I love, accept, respect, value, appreciate myself.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And your book helps us discover how to do that more for ourselves as well as we share, as we show up, as we're going out into the world. So I just really, really appreciate what you have created, what you're bringing forward. And is there a favorite part in the book that you want to share? Just something comes to your mind like, oh, I just get so excited every time somebody mentions that part.
Oh, well, so yeah, I have a favorite part, but it would take an hour for me to read it. My favorite part, somebody else asked me this. They're like, what is your favorite chapter or part? And my favorite section is the section about ourselves, like how to have. So the book is called Heartfelt Connections. And I guess the subtitle would be Have Courageous, Honest, and Thoughtful Conversations with yourself, God, and others. And that is a very specific sequence. Start with yourself. And sometimes self and God, for some people, it may really intertwine. You may find God first and then yourself. That may intertwine, but you really got to start with yourself. And so my favorite section is about yourself. And there's lots of chapters in there. And I could just go on and on about yourself because I believe if you can have the courageous, honest, and thoughtful conversations with yourself, much easier to go out into the world and do that. Go out there and put yourself out there. Much easier if you go out there with a good foundation of yourself. And so that is my favorite part. But I do have so I will just share this one part because the self part has a lot. But this is at the very beginning. If you are tired of avoiding conversations, this book is for you. If conversations make you uncomfortable, this book is for you. If you regret certain conversations you've had in the past, this book is for you. If you struggle with how to talk to yourself, this book is for you. If you want better relationships with a loved one or anyone, this book is for you. This one I do love. You can wake up each morning filled with hope and enthusiasm for what the day will bring. With these discoveries, you can climb that mountain that Catherine has climbed many times. You can climb that mountain that's been blocking your view of what life truly has to offer. I invite you to experience life as a blessing, not just a job or a duty.
Beautiful. Thank you. So appreciate your heart, your spirit, and what you're bringing forward, and that you're giving us a tool to help us with those really important connections and conversations. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I do have questions. So let me go over to the questions spot.
Okay.
So here's a question. Why do we struggle to communicate or speak up honestly, even with the people we love most?
Yeah, that honestly is interesting. And I kind of have that same sequence: courageous, honest, and thoughtful. I think sometimes a couple of things. Sometimes we're afraid to be honest because we think that then we have to be rude or that it's going to hurt the other people, or we just don't know how to be honest. And there's more than one way to be honest. And that's why thoughtful comes in, because you can be thoughtfully honest. And so that's one way to be courageous about being honest is figuring out how to be thoughtful. And again, those processes in the book help you to, the steps or process system helps you to figure out how to be thoughtful. You can be thoughtful when you don't have to think about you and your feelings getting hurt, and you're thinking about the person you're talking to. Then you can be thoughtful, because then you're thinking of someone else and not yourself, because you've already done the work within yourself. You've learned how to respect, love, honor, appreciate yourself. Now you can go do that to someone else.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. And here's another one. It's back to these emotions. I'm seeing several questions here around emotions. So how do we, if I'm going to kind of lump some of these together, it seems to be around how do we handle the emotions that can come up or somewhat be overwhelming when and still stay grounded and purposeful in the conversations. How do we handle that
Oh, yeah.
emotional part?
Yeah, the emotional things that come up. Again, I know it's going to sound like I repeat myself, but the foundation of yourself is so important. And so, as you get better at strengthening that foundation of yourself, these emotional upheavals will not seem as upheavaling. I don't know if that's the right word. They won't see, you will be able to manage those better. There will still be emotions, and ones that uh are harder than some emotions, but you can manage them better once you have your foundation. Because when you go into a conversation, and a hard conversation, reason it's hard is because you're not sure how they're going to react, and then you're not sure how you're going to react. But if you know you, okay, this is why you got to know you. If you know you, and you, again, you know that you're a good person, you have good intentions, that you're grounded, that their opinions are their opinions, my opinions are my opinions. It's easier to manage those emotional journeys that come in life, and they will, and they still do for me too, even though I've made this journey. It's just a beautiful life. And if we look at those emotions as can teach us to bring beauty into our life, instead of looking at them that they're only going to be bad, but learning from them. So they have an emotion, learn from it. You have an emotion, learn from it.
I love what you're sharing. And it just goes back to again and again, we need to hold space for ourselves. We need to know ourselves and really come to that place of loving ourselves and accepting ourselves in the journey. And then it makes it so much easier to hold that space for the emotions and the responses and those really honest, important conversations in our life. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Well, I just so appreciate everything that you have shared. This person then said, I need her book. So you're really touching people and impacting people. And I'm really grateful for you joining us today and sharing. Would you mind letting us know the best way for us to connect, the full title of your book again, where to get it? All of those things would be wonderful.
Okay, sure. So, heartfelt connections have courageous, honest, and thoughtful conversations with yourself, God, and others. It is on Amazon, and my website is Desley H. Sorry, so many things, yeah, emails. My website is desleyhancock.com. Desleyhancock.com. And hopefully you can see how my name is spelled through this event. Desleyhancock.com. On there has information and also how you can contact me through an email, and that will be on there. But the website will give you lots of information.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and really helping support us in having these important conversations so that we can connect more deeply. We can show up in a way that's more authentically who we are and how we want to be by learning how to have these conversations with ourselves and others. Thank you for the work that you do.
No, thank you.
And viewers, I want to give you a moment to just write down any thoughts, any final things that you want to capture before we transition to our next amazing guest. I want to give you a moment to just collect your thoughts, write those down. Anything that is touching your heart and spirit, anything that you want to follow up on. And I think starting to, pay attention to the conversations and how we feel in them can be a really powerful exercise. And are we wanting some support in those areas? And, Desley's created a powerful tool that can help us. So very excited. Thank you. And with that, we're going to transition to our next amazing speaker. You're going to get to meet Becky. So, Becky Muller is a #1 international best-selling author of Undone, Unafraid. She is a passionate truth seeker, author, teacher, wife, and mother of 5 children. She is from Spanish Fork, Utah. Her journey began in 2014 through personal immersion in the 12-step world of addiction and trauma recovery. Later, serving as the executive director of a global recovery foundation, she is also a certified yoga instructor and university level teacher, founder of the Undone Academy, and is absolutely passionate about helping you heal, surrender, and come home to your true self. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful, heart-centered, and dynamic Becky Muller. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And I want to thank all of my fellow presenters. I feel so humbled that some of you are aware of my book and my work. It never kind of gets old to realize that when you put that book forward, that you have these people who kind of know this really special piece of you and that you kind of share that. So it feels very special to know that some of you are on that radar and or that I'm on your radar. And it's so cool to hear all of you share your work, because I feel like every single one of you has said things and pointed to the same things that my work is about, my book is about. I really feel that when we kind of embark on this kind of deeper human journey of awakening and evolving through what life gives us, we kind of all come to the same realizations. And there's a million ways to talk about those, but really we're pointing to the same things. And I feel that so much with all of you. So namaste. I'm a certified mindfulness and meditation teacher. That's really my work. Namaste means the light in me sees the light in you. And I feel the oneness that's here. So I feel that in this meeting already. So to kind of get into my presentation, like Rebecca mentioned, my book is Undone Unafraid. It's right here. I still also, it never gets old to hold it in my hand and be like, it's real. It's so cool. And my work is really, my passion is to help people move through the kind of darkest parts of their lives in a way that expands them and becomes a vehicle for actually awakening to a more rich dimension of living. So my water bottles here, this my logo, BeckyMoeller.com, is from shattered to awakened self. So that's kind of what I do. And my book, in some ways, is the impetus of my work because it shares a really personal journey of how I came to know and be able to teach in this space. And it's also the fruition of my work, because I would say to those of you, the listeners that are thinking about writing your story, you will know that you need to write your story when you can't not write it. And I think that will make sense to you if you know what I'm talking about. They're definitely, almost from the moment that my life kind of shattered, what I would call the beginning of my journey, I knew that I had to write it. It came out through writing. It started with just poetry at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. It wanted to be expressed. And I knew that giving voice to what I was experiencing was going to be part of my healing. And I loved how Catherine talked about having a distinct voice and becoming aware that she had a distinct voice, and that every one of us actually does have a distinct voice. But I think my distinct voice probably is, and as I've worked with Rebecca, I know you mentioned this, there's something in me that like really wants to emote, to help people feel, and that finds the sacredness in what we feel. Maybe just like Lori sees the sacredness in color, there's something that connects us to something greater than ourselves through that color. And for me, these emotions and the ability to feel our emotions deeply is kind of, I think, my distinct voice or my gift. So my book is a really personal journey through betrayal in my marriage and kind of all of the very internal things in my own heart, mind, and spirit that I had to move through to be able to heal from that. And so today I am going to attempt to share my screen quickly. If it doesn't work, then we'll plan B it. Because I'd like to share you some of these key ideas. All right, can you see my screen? Nod your head if you can. Sweet, and you can still see me. Love it. Okay, so homeostasis or living the dream. When life is going fine, one of the reasons life is going fine, when we feel it's going fine, is because all of our core identities are intact, okay? And when our core identities are intact, kind of the fundamental way we see ourselves, and Desley spoke to this really beautifully too, like this core sense of self, it's intact, and mind, body, spirit kind of all just work. So what happens in life sometimes, I think for almost everyone, we're going to hit a moment like this, and I call it the crisis. And the crisis happens really when something happens in our life that in some way either pokes at or just shatters those core identities. And when something like that happens in our lives, it's the impetus of a potential awakening. That's how I like to see it. Or what Richard Rohr, who's a beautiful Christian mystic, Catholic priest, he talks about it as the second half of life. That we spend the first half of life building these core identities and the sense of self. And then the second half of life is about dismantling that and understanding who we are beyond those identities we've created for ourselves. So although it feels like an end, it's really a beginning. And this is from my book. I said, those first stumbling, shaky truths that spring Sunday night, which is when I'm talking about the disclosure of betrayal from my husband, were such an upheaval for my husband and me. A new beginning of tenuous truths rather than lies, denial, and unconscious striving. But oh, did it feel like an end. At that moment, I ended. Who I was, what I believed about myself, the way I saw the world, it all ended. For a while, this ending was all I could see. But over time and with lots of care and tending, it became something new. So one of the first things that we have to do when we kind of hit a moment like this, like a crisis or a shattering moment, is realize, one, there's a grieving process, and that takes as long as it takes. But at some point, we kind of have to gather ourselves and say, okay, this happened to me. Now what? Now, what am I going to do with it? And what I've developed is this whole framework that moves us from unconscious, what I call normal unconscious insanity, to a conscious awakening. And when we're in kind of normal unconscious insanity, that's how most of us are going through life when we don't have that deeper awareness, is we're like reacting, okay? And the work I do is to help people find this framework of awakening. So I want you to just notice one of the biggest things that makes the difference is what's at the center of how we're moving through something. In this unconscious cycle, it's just kind of empty and shattered in the middle, like that shattered sense of self. And if you've ever felt that sense of like free fall or being untethered, ungrounded, I don't know where my center is anymore. It's gone. Versus the really pivot of all of this healing that's possible, that's potential, is learning how to find something higher and really center ourselves on something higher. And that's what, Desley, you are speaking to when you're talking about like knowing yourself, God, this presence. Rebecca, you talk about presence all the time, the present moment in my body. That's what I do, is work with people to how do I start to live in this way where I can really feel something tangibly higher at my center and move through my day-to-day life, staying connected to that. And we're only going to get to touch in. In fact, Rebecca, will you like wave at me when I have like a minute left? Because I'll cut and run. Okay, thank you. And I'll start here at the beginning. The top of this circle or this framework is suffering, and separation creates suffering. This is like a universal, this is a secular Buddhist, from Buddhist psychology principle. Separation creates suffering. Integration creates healing. So when we experience suffering or something difficult happens and we separate from it, we want to push it away, we want to deny it, run away from it, escape from it. And this is driven by fear-driven judgment. You can see on that thing. It creates a sense of suffering. So from my book, this is how I'm moving through this betrayal for the first probably 18 months, really. Every day, it's the same struggle. The morning light filters through my curtains and eyelids, and I drift toward consciousness. There's a transient moment where I exist blissfully beyond my story with lightness and ease. Then wham, my reality wafts me over the head, and off I go, kicking and screaming in involuntary tantrums again. The stories of all that is happening and has happened and might happen cascade over my mind-body like a mudslide. My heart beats faster, pounding louder in my chest, clamoring for escape. No, 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 my brain screams. This is not my life. This is not my reality. This cannot be happening to me. So, do you see how much resistance there is there in me, in my body, in my mind, in my spirit? It's like an absolute refusal to integrate what's happening in my life, the reality of what is, into my, I can't accept it, right? So healing starts at the simplest. Well, let me go back 1 second here. This fear-driven judgment has everything to do with how we separate from ourselves. Because the moment we start to judge our experience like this, what are the things we say to ourselves? This shouldn't be happening. Someone, I think it might have been Catherine, said something like the hard things in our lives like don't mean that something's going wrong. This is what we're doing here. And if we think anything else, we're mistaken. Like, this is what we're doing here. We're here to grow, evolve, learn, progress. And so when life gets hard, it's like, can I open myself? We open ourselves. So to orient ourselves around suffering or around difficulties as they come, unexpected detours, we open ourselves to growth as we acknowledge our pain and reach out for help. And a few people talked about reaching out, this reaching out thing. We need to ask for help. One example from my book is just this idea of learning, or I just share how I learned how to come to a place of acceptance. Over the years, I've learned that rock bottom, in whatever form it takes, places us squarely in front of two doors. One is a siren call back to the way it was, a desperate resistance to the pain of all that's been lost. The other is the door to the unknown, a surrender to what is exactly as it is, a door that potentially opens to a new way of being. Walking through that door may be the bravest thing any of us will ever do, in my opinion. As J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter books, aptly stated, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. 10 years down the road, I can echo her sentiment. One of the things, and I'm in my room, I could flip my camera, but I won't. I have on my wall next to my bed the third step prayer from AA. And 12 step was such a huge part of me finding the tools to start to move into this space. And I would recite this every morning. The third step prayer is, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Remove my difficulties, that my victory over them would bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. And do you feel like when my whole body and spirit are like kicking and screaming? Like, here I am, a mother of four little kids. I became pregnant with my fifth. Spoiler alert, very shortly after my husband's disclosure. Thinking, this is my whole life. This is what I've built my entire identity on. And I'm a fail. It's over. What's the point? When everything in me wants to say, this shouldn't be happening. I didn't sign up for this. To start to be able to shift and say, God, I offer myself to thee. Like, here I am. Do build with me as you will. And I'm willing. I feel like one day at a time, and this is just like one tiny step, right? In this whole framework of healing. But one day at a time, where I am today is still a one day at a time practice of that third step prayer and that third step sentiment. Surrendering my will for my life, my agenda, my idea of the way things should look, and saying, the way it is, there's a wisdom. I have to trust that there's something higher holding this up. Rebecca, I can't see you super clearly because of the way my screen is. Are we okay on time?
We are just about to 1 minute, so your asking is perfect.
Okay, perfect. I'll just kind of high level overview. So the way I work with my clients and the journey that you will find in my book starts really with somatic awareness, that somatic connection. When we spin into that unconsciousness, we almost immediately disconnect from the body. So through the tools that that I offer. We teach people how to arrive in the body, presence, breath, grounding. After we disconnect from the body, when we're unconscious, we start to completely identify with the chatter in our brain and the emotion that's the most present. We think that's who we are. And so with consciousness, we learn that we can start to just compassionately observe what's happening in the mind and emotions. And there's a whole framework. It's this is what I do with my clients every week. And I run a course that's really evolved from my 12-step beginnings. But I have people that stay with me for years. Like I have people who've been with me for up to 5 years. Many in my online group right now have been with me up to 3 years. And they're like, I feel like I'm finally starting to really get this. It's a lifetime practice. It's a lifetime journey with these tools that are just this beautiful, compassionate peeling back of learning how do we see ourselves more clearly? How do we connect with something higher than ourselves? How do we move through hard things? And really, I feel like my specialty is to break that down into the tiniest pieces of what's happening in my mind, in my body, in my spirit that are either keeping me from being able to do that or opening me to this power, this divine that's already here. And that's my work and that's my journey in a very gritty, raw, messy way. I'll just say that many people who read my book, I was shocked to have people reach out to me when I released it and say, I read the whole thing today. I'm like, how did you read the whole thing today? That's crazy. And I have other people who say it took me like 2 months because it is hard. Lots of people say this was very triggering for me. But if you want to go deeper and you know that there's more to go, there's deeper to dig, this can be a tool in your toolkit to help you because you have to feel it to heal it. You have to. And there's a way to do it with compassion and with support and with the tools to allow it to make you more awake, alive, more useful to yourself, God, and others. So that's my thoughts, and I'm so grateful for the space to share with you. And yeah, Rebecca.
Thank you. And no, thank you for sharing and your authenticity in the book and the poetry and the depth to which you were willing to take us on that very intimate journey is such a gift. Few people let us walk that closely beside you. You know, a lot of times we'll see the shiny places, the after, but not the before and during. And we learn so much in that. And your willingness to share it is a real gift to all of us. So thank you for your book, the work, the heart, and entrusting us with your journey, with your story.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Absolutely. And I do have a couple of questions here. So this one is, you take us on, so they've read your book, you take us into some incredibly painful, intimate moments. What gave you the courage to share your story this openly?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would for sure have to say my 12-step roots. If you've ever been in a 12-step setting, it is like raw and real and it was unlike any place I'd ever been before. There was no posturing or facade. It was like, and I felt God's presence in that space more powerfully than anywhere else. And I consider myself a very spiritual and religious person. And it was like, this was a whole new level of feeling that like vividness of like, God is right here in it. And feeling the power and witnessing the power in that to change lives, to change behavior, to change the desires of our hearts. Um, that that I fell in love with it. So I definitely was fed by mentors and people that showed me a way of being that I would never have known without being able to learn from them.
Beautiful. Thank you. And there's a few more questions. I'm choosing one more. Were there moments, because you mentioned how writing helped you processing, write poetry and get things out of you. Were there moments when writing felt too hard? Like that was even feeling too hard. How did you get through that? How did you keep going?
Yeah. I think there's internal processors and external processors kind of. I don't know that writing ever it always felt like medicine for me. And at first I filled like 500 pages of journals the first year, and it was just journal. It was just, you know, but it just poured out of me. So it was always kind of my medicine. But I know that for some people, trying to put things into words can be really difficult. For those people, sometimes moving in your body can be really a better tool. Yoga, anything that's going to connect you to a way, because we can use our body to express emotion and release it, even if we don't know the words, even if we don't know the words. So I would just say if you're someone who is like the writing feels hard to me, maybe try that, because there is something in trauma that needs to be expressed. And just because you're not a words person doesn't mean you can't express. You can express in so many ways: color, like Lori's talking about, body, art. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that because I am a journal person as well. That's how I get it out of me. But there are times where movement or dance or something can help move things that I don't have words for yet. So I love that. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. And I wanted to make sure everyone had your contact information. For those of you we didn't get to your questions, you can reach out to Becky. She is exactly as you are experiencing her here, very open, happy to share. So feel free to reach out to her. Becky, what is the best way for people to connect and go deeper?
Absolutely. My website is beckymoeller.com, and I run retreats. I just finished my women's retreat, which was absolutely magical experience. I do a couples retreat. I do a weekly program where I'm there as a mentor weekly, and we move through. This is my book, my course manual. So this was before this. So we move through a lesson every week. There's journaling, there's specific like mindfulness and somatic tools that we focus on 1 week at a time. And this is basically my roadmap of how I moved from my rock bottom to where I am today, broken down into the smallest bite-sized pieces. And I work with people. We meet once a week and we explore this content. So all of those resources are at beckymoeller.com. And I would love to hear. I'm always also, like you said, Rebecca, also very open to, even if someone was just struggling and was like, could I reach out? I'm very open to that kind of thing as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky, for joining us today, for your beautiful presentation, your heart and spirit in this to help so many people really move through things and be fully who they are. I appreciate that and the work you do. And I just want to give all of our viewers an opportunity to write down some additional thoughts. Maybe look back at your notes from the very beginning, what was placed on your heart, what you were looking for more of, and give yourself that opportunity to just sink into that a little bit and see where you're being pulled where you are being called to move forward. And as I was preparing for today, I was reminded of a experience I had, and I wanted to share with you because we're in spring. We've been talking about a lot of things that I feel like are seeds we can plant. And so some of my, one day I was living in an apartment complex, condo complex, and we have porches. So we didn't have, at this time I lived, now I found I love planting. I go crazy in our garden, but I didn't before. And so I had this packet of cucumber seeds, 50 cucumber seeds, and on our porch. And I thought, I think I want to grow something. I want to try this out. So, not having a lot of experience in planting and growth with seeds, I took one big container for a plant. I dumped the 50 seeds. I kind of spread them around. I dumped them in and I put soil over it and I watered it, not knowing what would happen. And as my little seedlings grew up, suddenly I could see I had an overcrowding problem. They weren't all going to fit here. I hadn't planned on growth. And so I had to transplant all of my little seedlings into more and more and more and more containers as they grew, because I kept underestimating how much room they would need. So I kept doing this and I got better at it. And soon I had little seedlings all over the place. And cucumbers are vines, I learned as well. And they have these little tentacle things that reach out and grab onto something. They grab on and they pull themselves up. And they keep doing it. And they were trying to go beyond the height of the wall that I had near them. And in our complex, you're not supposed to go above the wall. Like, that's trouble. So then I took the little seedlings and I tried to redirect them, like back down around the rail and over here. And you know what they did? They unwrapped themselves and they went up. And I learned, wow, not only do these seedlings know exactly who they are and they grow, they're planning on growth and room to grow. They don't go down. They don't let someone else redirect them to be smaller and shrink down or go a different direction than they are called to go. They go up. And I learned so much from this experience. I learned, wow, I want to plan on growth in my life. I want to plan on the seeds growing, these seeds that we're planting today growing into something beautiful. Even if I can't see it right away with that dirt and soil on top, then I want to plan on growth. And that I want to create an environment for myself and others that there's lots of room to grab on supportive structures and others. You don't have to do it on your own to keep going up, and never let somebody redirect you down to play smaller. You're meant to shine. You're meant to bring your gifts, your talents forward. And this time we've talked about today about knowing yourself. The cucumber seed, they knew it was a cucumber vine. It knew that. Even in that little seed, it knew what it was to become. And that was what it did. It didn't try to be a zucchini. It didn't try to be a flower. It didn't try to be a palm tree. It was a zucchini vine or a cucumber vine. See, I even tested there, cucumber vine. So be who you are, bring your uniqueness forward. And sometimes it takes this contraction where we go in a little bit to discover who am I really? If my core has been shattered, who am I now? Who am I discovering? What's underneath all of that? How can I be myself, even in the storms, even in the challenges, even when there's lots of rain and less rain? How do I keep going forward? Keep becoming the plant, the being that you are, and the fruit, the vegetable that gets to come forward as you grow and it comes forward. And with all those little cucumber vines, in case anyone wonders, because it was way more than I could manage over time, I had a presentation where I shared what I was discovering. And I found foster homes, new parents for all of the vines except the couple that I got to keep. And they each took on that mission of learning and observing from the cucumber vine of what it had to teach. Because guess what? Our seeds, the seeds that we're planting as we share out, get to grow, and they get to go into new places and new environments and touch and impact others. So, what I want to encourage you today is to be like the cucumber seed. Allow yourself that opportunity to grow, take in the nutrients, the tips, the tools, the supportive things that can help you become more of who you truly are. And then be willing to poke through that soil. Be willing to go up, grab onto those things, the community, the tools, the resources that can support you to climb as far as you are called to go. Don't shrink back. Be willing to share the gift, the amazing gift of who you are, because I can tell you there's no one else in the world just like you. You're absolutely needed. The experiences you've come through, the journey you've come on, the way you look at the world, even the way that you're made is a gift. And the way we make the world a better place is being willing to share more of who each of us are, the way we're made, the particular type of cucumber we are. Because I've learned since then there's a zillion different types of cucumbers as well. So be the cucumber that you are and be willing to share that gift and the seeds in every one of those cucumbers out into the world. Be willing to share that out. So as we come to a close today, I want you to take a few minutes and really write down something you're going to do as a result of today, of this time together. Maybe it's leaning into some of the resources or connections offered here, a new perspective, way of looking at things. Allowing yourself to have that courageous conversation with yourself and see what's there. And then be willing to share who you truly are, authentically are, out with the world just a little bit more. Reach up above that rail, maybe that safety place you're used to. Be willing to reach above, see what's out there. Be willing to share and trust the world with more of you. That is the greatest gift you can give to all of us. I want to thank you for joining us today, for spending this time with us. And we do have a slide we're going to show up here in the window for those of you who are wanting to perhaps connect and go further. That's something in our past summits people have asked. So we wanted to make sure that you had that information. If you want to connect with us, if you want to go deeper, we're going to put that slide up here on the screen in just a moment. And we would love to stay connected. So the relationship doesn't stop here. We can keep that connection going, keep the conversation going. And you'll see there are a few different resources we can offer to you. And you'll find all of them on our website, which is yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. And you're going to see a contact form if there's something specific you want to connect with us about. And you'll see some prompts of some of the ways we can stay connected in our community and our magazine. Perhaps you're looking at support bringing your book forward, or just looking to really have a conversation as you respond to what has touched you about our summit today. All of those are great and open, and you'll find that information as well as our books and resources on our website. Again, that's at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. I want to thank you all for joining us again. I want to encourage you to keep growing, keep blooming, and keep shining the beautiful light that you are. Be willing to share that out in the world, that you may always, always bloom where you're planted and shine. We'll look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.